Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be a how to do our brows. I was really hesitant to do a video on brows just because I think personally that brows are so boring, and I didn't think that anybody would really care too much about it, but honestly that has been the #1 requested tutorial that I have gotten. I have received like dozens of, even like a ton of my friends have been asking me for a brow tutorial, so I'm going to show you how I do mine. I'm going to show you how I fill in the spots that don't have very many hairs. I'm going to show you how I like to darken up the hair that's there but it's so light that you can't really see it, and then I'm going to show you how I shape them and all of that good stuff. So if you are interested in a brow tutorial for sparse hairs, then please keep watching and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so you can start however you want to. You can start with a blank face. Today I went ahead and put on some foundation. The first thing that I like to start off with is the Anasazi Brow Wiz in the shade medium brown. And the first thing I like to do is I like to take the spoolie end and I like to brush my brows upwards. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do with this brow pencil is we're going to map out our brows. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to take my pencil and I want to put it in this little crook of my nose right here, and that is where the brow point is going to start. You want that stick to be straight. You can measure it on the side over here with your eye, and then I'm just going to take this and make a line right there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that pencil, that same pencil, and we're going to put it on the edge of our nose right here. Look straight ahead, and we're going to angle it through the center of our eye, like the center of our pupil, and that is going to be where the arch needs to go. And then the last thing we're going to do is measure from the corner of our nose to the corner of our eye, and that's going to give us our end point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect those dots, and what I like to do is go with the shape of my brow originally, and I like to stay in the lines where I actually have hair. Even if it's faint, I like to just connect that. Now this right here needs to be kind of a straight line. Here is going to be our arch, and then we're just gonna connect this. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brush the brow hairs down, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the top. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to brush those brow hairs right back up. And the thing is that I like for my brow hairs to go a little bit above that line because it makes it look more natural, and it makes it look like you have like more hair than you even do. So the next step in my brow process is to go in with this product right here, and it is called Wunderbrow. Now there's a couple of ways that you can use the Wunderbrow. It comes with a wand of its own and you can just paint it on there. I don't really like that option. It's too thick for me. I don't want to look like I have big blocky thick eyebrows like that are just too dark, and I feel like that's how this makes me look. And by the way, I am in the shade brunette. I like to take a flat angled brush. What I'm using is just one from Kylie Cosmetics that I got with like an eyeliner. So I'm just gonna take that, get a little bit of the product on my brush, because what I use this for is really just like a base, and it also will color in the hairs that I already have that are just like too light to be seen. So I just want to stay in the guides, and I just want to take a little bit of that product and get it in there. I like to steer clear at the very end of my brow. I'm going to go to about like this point, and I'm not going to put any of the product right in here. The reason that I like to do that is because I want my brows to try and look as natural as possible. And then the next thing I like to do is take the spoolie end of the Anastasia brush again, and I like to just blend this out, and I like to go in upward and outward motions. And if you feel like that took away too much, you can always add more back in and just keep repeating that process. And you want to fill the tail end just a little bit more, because your brows should go from light to dark, and it doesn't have to be like a really drastic change. And when I spoolie this, I go very lightly, like I just barely touch it and pull it through, and then I just do the same thing on the other side. I like to go in with this Anastasia brow pen, and this is in the Universal light shade. So I want to be very careful with this because this can get out of hand. I also want to mention while we're at this part that if you already have really nice thick brows and you just want to fill in little bitty parts, I would not suggest using these products, because this is more for like sparse hairs, like no hair at all. If you already have thick brows, I suggest using like the Anastasia Dip Brow. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to start on the outer edge, and I'm going to just flick it in hair-like strokes, and I'm barely touching this to my skin. Now if you use this without the Wunderbrow, it's going to be too light. It's not going to look right. I've tried it and I did not like that, but this combination seems to be the best for me. So I'm just gonna flick it out to make it look like I have hair, even in spots that either I don't or they're so light that you really can't see them. And then I'm gonna take that spoolie brush, and I'm very lightly gonna run that back through. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Now my brows kind of run sideways, so I'm gonna slant them in this area. And so the hair also starts changing from here, and it starts going straight. So I'm gonna start flicking my hairs in all of those angles, and when I blend it, I'm gonna blend it the same way. I'm gonna go up and then I'm gonna go out. And then the last part, which is the most important part, and you must be very careful, because if you press down on this too hard, it's gonna make really thick hairs. We want to be very careful. And I'm going to start at the bottom of my brow, and I'm actually going to go right over this line. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to do a few hair-like strokes. And I want to blend this out pretty good, because like I said, I don't want it to be super dark, and I can see that this area needs just a little bit more. And I kind of like for my brows to look a little bushier on the end here, because I just feel like it just makes it look more real. And then I'm just going to go over and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so now that we're done like actually building our brows, what I like to do is go in with just a little bit of concealer. I like to go in with a different flat angled brush, and I'm going to be using one from Eco Tools. I'm just going to dip that in, but I'm going to put most of the product here because I don't want to go in with like this really, with like a whole lot of product and mess up the brow that we just did. And then I will just take a mini beauty blender and finish blending that out. And that's also what I will end up using to set my eyes. And I like to take it with like no product on it. You can see there's like no product, and I like to just run it up through there a couple of times. It just brings what little bit of product is still down here up in there a little bit. It makes this part of the brow lighter, and then it also makes this not look so harsh. Now if you want to, you can go up here and clean up. I don't always do that. Every now and then I will. Okay, so the very last thing that I like to do is I like to go in with the Anasazi Clear Brow Gel. And how I like to do this, I like to start at the end, and I like to brush my brows backwards first. And if you look, you can see that it is lifting all of my hairs, even the ones that were really light, that the Wunderbrow has darkened up a little bit, and then even some that aren't even dark. You can see it just gives your hair so much more volume, makes it look like you have more hair than you do. And then I like to go back in and very lightly brush them back in the direction I wanted, but I don't press too hard in there because then it's gonna like lay all of our hairs back down flat, and that's not what we want. We want more of like a 3D effect. So yeah, that's it. That's all I do. That's all I do for my brows. It might seem a little time consuming in the beginning, but once you get down like your shape, you don't have to worry about measuring, and once you get used to using the products, you can go in there pretty quick. But for the most part, this is all I do for my brows. I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you guys for coming back to my channel. I hope to see you next time. Bye.